Endo Shusaku was born on March 27, 1923 in Tokyo, Japan, being the second child of his family. When he was 3, his parents moved to Manchuria for a short period of time. When he was 10 years old, his parents divorced and he moved back to Japan with his mother. Shusaku and his mother converted to Catholicism, and he was baptized at the age of 11. He began to study at Keio University in 1943, but his studies would be interrupted by the events of World War II. World War II was a catastrophic event that affected the lives of everyone, especially the people of Japan, but from the turmoil of this chaos gave birth to the third generation of post-war writers. Endo Shusaku is one of them. World War II caused a rift between America and Japan, and it can be easily seen as an attack from one culture to the other. This was a catalyst for a surge of disdain for both sides. America had its racial slurs and many forms of propaganda to throw against the Japanese, but Japan also expressed their disdain of America through art mediums such as film and literature. The outcome of the war was somewhat immune to Shusaku as he continued to stand by his faiths and beliefs as a Christian. Many, both foreigners and native Japanese alike, see being Christian as denying what it truly means to be genuinely Japanese. Shusaku would travel to Europe, a land where Christianity is the dominant religious force, to see if he felt more at home and if he had a better sense of belonging in that society than that of Japan. However, Shusaku would only find his identity to be more frustrating because European culture was also still very alien and difficult for himself to assimilate to. Many of Endo's works would have Christianity as an overarching theme or pivotal element to the plot, as a way to explore the conflict in himself being a Japanese Christian. Foreign Studies was a novel that basically acted as a platform for Shusaku to reflect his thoughts on his time in Europe. During this post-war era, Shusaku found himself studying in France to explore the culture of its people and to gain a more rich understanding of Christianity in relation to the European culture. However, by the end of his time studying in the country, he would only discover another layer of alienation as he comes to terms with the fact that he is Japanese and that can't be changed, not a man of Europe or from the West at all. Instead, he would shift from trying to assimilate himself into European culture. He would focus on making Christian values understandable to the eyes of a Japanese audience. This would definitely play a role in some of his later works, such as The Samurai. In The Samurai, Shusaku utilized characters and conflicts, as in his earlier works of his career, to reinterpret the essentially Western Christian tradition into something more meaningful to the Japanese. Shusaku does not completely abandon his previous opinion that the Japanese do not readily understand Christian sensibilities. The Samurai definitely depicts many instances of where the Japanese are extremely insensitive and lacking an appreciation for important biblical figures. But in terms of making these figures and Christianity more comprehensible to the Japanese and its culture, this book aids in bringing the Christian values to reach this audience. Silence explores many themes of forgiveness, betrayal, and sacrifice, all encompassed by Christianity. This is Shusaku's most famous work. It's generally regarded as his masterpiece. Nativism tends to play a much larger role in this novel compared to the previously discussed works. The book is set in a historical time period where Japan was far more defensive against the outside world and its cultures, especially Christianity, being a force that will persecute any missionary that will come by in the land. The novel will receive a number of film adaptations, with the most recent and acclaimed version being Martin Scorsese's adaptation in 2016. Endo Shusaku was in exile. Being born to a country where being Christian is to be a minority offers a differing perspective than the works covered previously in the semester. Even after going to Europe to learn more about his religion, Shusaku was still plagued with this conflict in his identity. But he was able to grow from trying to assimilate to finding a middle ground between his faiths as a Christian and Japanese. Not only did his works talk about the topics that we have discussed in class, such as nativism and identity, but so too did his life. Shusaku struggled for many years of his life trying to identify who he was. This dilemma is prominent in our studies about assimilation in America and discussions about the identity of immigrants. In the end, Shusaku wanted to spread Christianity on a more comprehensible level, which can be seen as an example of diasporic intimacy. Additionally, Shusaku can be defined by Apaya as a cosmopolitan because of his ability to recognize and embrace being both Japanese and Christian instead of abandoning one identity for the other.